Hello and welcome to this week's Women's Football Chat. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every Thursday at 6 p.m. bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. Now, we've got a lot to go through this week. We have weekend fixtures, weekend results, midweek results. We've got news to talk about. We've got an interview coming up as well. And then there are so many competitions taking place this weekend. We've got plate semi-finals. We've got FA Cup. We've got the league as well. Some teams are in County Cup. So without further ado, let's get straight down to it, as we always do with the Northern Premier Division. Some big results here in the course of the title race. We'll start though at the top. Nottingham Forest. These are Sunday games. Nottingham Forest beating Boldmere St Michael's by 4-0. A hat-trick for Charlotte Greengrass in the 24th, the 45th and the 86th minute. And a goal for Sophie Domingo made it 4-0 to Forest. That goal for Domingo in the first half though. A really comfortable in the end victory for Forest by 4-0. Derby County beating Stoke City by 2-1. Late goal for Derby in this one. Stoke had taken the lead 10 minutes into the second half. Kelsey Richardson with the goal there. But Camille Jenkins, just 5 minutes after coming on as a substitute, made it level in the 65th minute. Emily Joyce, 6 minutes from time, put Derby in front. They held on to all 3 points. Don't necessarily count them out of the title race either. But of course, we'll get to the table in a moment. Then we move to the midweek games. Brighouse Town, yet another victory for them. This time beating Liverpool Feds by 2-1. Drew Green and Monique Watson with the goals for Brighouse. Liverpool Feds scored in the 18th minute thanks to Amy Seagraves, but having Abby Pope sent off with half an hour to go made things difficult. For the away side, Burnley started life with the new manager well. 7-0. They beat Fylde, but the information's not on full time yet. Of course, these games were only last night. West Bromwich Albion 2. Boldmere St Michael's 0 again. The information not up there yet, but a good victory for West Brom to put a little bit of distance between themselves and the bottom two. But the important game in the title race is down here at the bottom of the screen. Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, Stoke City 2. Wolves 2-0 up at half-time, looking as though it was going to be comfortable for them. Jade Cross in the 29th minute, Helen Dermody in the 32nd minute. They seemed to be cruising. Stoke got one back in the second half, made it 2-1, and then a free kick in the 94th minute pulled Stoke level, meant that Wolves drop a very important 2 points in the title race. Let's have a look at that table. What you can see is it means that one of the games in hand that Wolves had over Forest, they have now dropped points. They have one game in hand still, but they're 5 points back. Burnley, don't discount them though. They're only 3 points back from Forest, but they do still have a game in hand. The advantage that Forest have got is that goal difference of 38 playing Burnley's 23 does act like a extra point for Forest at the moment. So Forest at the top. 8 games to go for them, 9 games to go for Burnley and Wolves. Burnley and Wolves have got to play each other, don't forget. So that's a game where not both of them are going to pick up 3 points. So one of them will slip up somewhere there. Forest have still got to play Burnley. That's going to be an important game as well. Down towards the bottom, mid-table is all just exactly as it was. Down towards the bottom though, Brighouse is said with another win. They pull themselves well clear of safety now. Well clear of the drop now. West Bromwich Albion, a 2-0 victory over Boldmere St Michael's. It's a 3-point gap to Boldmere now, and West Brom have got 2 games in hand. Liverpool Feds are finding themselves dragged into that a little bit. Loughborough Lightning still at the bottom, now 10 points away from safety. Southern results, again, important games in the title race here. We'll start in the weekend. Portsmouth 2, Cheltenham Town 0. Alison Hall in the 19th minute and Sophie Quirk in the 83rd minute, giving Portsmouth the 2-0 victory. Watford still hot on their heels, a 2-1 victory over Milton Keynes Dons. Annie Lee Rossiter in the 24th minute, Faye Burrough getting the winner in the 89th minute for Watford. Laura Mitchell with the only goal for Milton Keynes Dons. Then again, we move into the midweek fixtures. We see a lot at the weekend, a lot of teams taking part in County Cup quarterfinals, semi-finals. That's why the weekend was so short. For example, #United taking on Billericay Town in the Essex County Cup. Billericay Town winning 9-8 on penalties. Gillingham 1, Crawley Wasps 0 was the game from last night. Again, the information it isn't on there yet. London Bees 1, Oxford United 5. A convincing victory for Oxford, but no information. And Watford 2, Portsmouth 0. Really important win for Watford, that against Portsmouth. Again, no information on that because it was only last night and it's not all been uploaded yet. What it means for the table, Watford climbed to 3rd, Ipswich Town dropped to 4th because Watford obviously played 2 games this weekend, so they have caught up to Ipswich on games played as well. They're 5 points back from Portsmouth, but Portsmouth played 3 games more. Oxford are 1 point back from Portsmouth, but have played 2 games less. So Portsmouth's position at the top of the table slightly elevated at the moment because all the teams below them, as I said, with the games in hand, Oxford, Watford and Ipswich can all overtake Portsmouth if they were to win all of their games in hand. Down towards the bottom, Plymouth didn't play this weekend. Crawley Wasps did, but they lost. And of course, that victory they had over Plymouth last weekend means that gap is just 6 points to safety now for Crawley, although they have played more games than anybody else in the Southern Premier Division apart from Portsmouth. London Bees with their defeat means, of course, that gap does stay exactly the same. Let's move to Division 1 North then. Bradford City 2, Chorley 1, the first of the weekend games to look at. A 2-1 victory for Bradford, really important that for them. Ariana Parnham with a brace for Bradford. Chorley getting one in the second half thanks to Melissa Ball, but not enough to prevent Bradford from getting the 3 points. Hull City 3, Merseyrail 0, Hope Knight, Liberty Bot and Tilly Oxley with the goal for Hull. Merseyrail really starting to run out of games now. And then we head into midweek as well on Tuesday. Barnsley 1, Bradford 0, narrow victory for Barnsley, who are still trying to keep pressure on the top 2 in Division 1 North. It's Natalie Shaw with the goal for Barnsley to give them 3 points past Bradford. Chorley then got a victory over Merseyrail by 3-0. So Merseyrail's struggle continues. Jessica Gillen in the 10th minute, Melissa Ball in the 36th minute and Ellie Cleary in the 73rd minute with the goals for Chorley. Important 3 points for them, as we'll see shortly. Newcastle United 2, Middlesbrough 0. Again, important for Newcastle to keep that pressure on Durham Sestra. Rebecca Ferguson and Casey Elson with their goals. And then we go to Norton Stockton Ancients 0, Durham Sestra 5. A result that's not even been put on full time yet, let alone all the goal scorers. And Stockport County 3, Leeds United 2. No information about the Leeds goal scorers yet, unless they were both penalties and haven't been put on the system. 2 own goals from Stockport County. That's why they're not on there. 34th and 43rd minute. So 2 own goals gave Leeds a half-time lead of 2-1. Maria Figueiredo had given Stockport County the lead in the 7th minute. But then in the second half, Rachel Davison on the hour mark and Ella Ritchie 12 minutes from time. 3-2 Stockport County end up beating Leeds United. What it means for the table then is that at the top, Barnsley, they're a little bit far back. They're 12 points back, but they've got 2 games in hand. So not out of the question for Barnsley. Hull City are up 2 places with their victory over Merseyrail at the weekend. Leeds United and Middlesbrough both drop a place. Leeds lost last night. Middlesbrough lost on Tuesday night. Chorley with their victory over Merseyrail, they're up a place. It's 6 points back now to the relegation zone. And Bradford City are off the bottom of the table with a victory over Chorley. They're now on 9 points. They're still 5 from safety, but 8 games to go. Merseyrail need realistically 8 points minimum to stay in Division 1 North. They only have 5 games to get those in. However, those games for Merseyrail do come against teams that they will be looking at trying to beat. They've got to play Bradford, they've got to play Norton and Stockton Ancients. Middlesbrough is a possibility as well. Stockport and Leeds potentially more difficult. So 5 games left for Merseyrail. They need a minimum of 8 points. So 2 wins, 2 draws, 3 wins. It's going to be a tall order for them, but they have 4 of their 5 games at home. So we'll see how they get on. They do have, as I said, the next 2 games at home, Middlesbrough and Bradford, both games that they could win. Right, let's move on then to the Division 1 Midlands. We've got Long Eaton United 0, Sheffield 5. Goals in this one once it comes up, because it's not wanting to come up for me when it... here we go. So goals for Long Eaton United 0, Sheffield 5. Goals in this one to Sheffield: a brace to Matilda Hallis Potts, 1 for Alex O'Neill, 1 for Bethany Scarroll, and 1 for Molly Waite. A 3-0 victory for Sporting Cowser over Leek Town. Sporting Cowser still going well towards the top. A hat-trick for Stephanie Weston, 6th, 52nd and 90th minute. And then into the midweek games. Tuesday, a draw between Sporting Cowser and Stourbridge. A brace for Olivia Woolston for Sporting Cowser here, the 19th and the 56th minute. No information about Stourbridge as of yet, but Stourbridge, you could say they dropped points, or you look at it that they didn't lose any ground to a team that's chasing them. There are 2 ways, of course, of looking at that. Leek Town with the dominant 6-1 victory over Long Eaton United. Rennie Meller in the 7th minute. Katie Mayer in the 23rd and the 38th minute. Katie Gibbons in the 55th and the 89th minute. And Cassie Hyde in the 79th minute with all 6 goals for Leek Town. No information about Long Eaton United yet. And Wemtown, great draw for them against Solihull Moors. Zoe Creaney with the goal for Solihull. No information about Wemtown yet. But that was a great result for Wemtown. The point could be vital. With Sheffield beating Long Eaton, that gap has increased to safety for Wemtown, but could prove to be very, very important. Towards the top, Sporting Cowser now in 2nd. They are chasing Stourbridge down, but Stourbridge have 3 games in hand and a 5-point advantage on them. Doncaster Rovers, Bells and Solihull Moors drop a place, with Solihull Moors drawing and Doncaster not playing. Then it's all as you were, but some of the gaps have moved, particularly down towards the bottom. So Long Eaton United with 2 defeats. They're now on a minus 100 goal difference and on 3 points. Sheffield, big 3 points for them. They are now 4 points clear of safety, and they've got games in hand over Wemtown. Wemtown, an important point though for them against Solihull Moors, who are currently in 4th. So Long Eaton United, they've got 6 games left to play. They have to get at least 13 points from the 18 available to them to have any chance of staying in the division, and that's hoping that Sheffield don't increase that margin anymore. Interestingly about Long Eaton United is that 3 of the 6 games they have left to play have been taken off of full time, so they could well be moving and have not yet been rearranged. One of those games is against Stourbridge, which was supposed to be next weekend, and that has now disappeared. The games they have got are all away from home. Leafield Athletic, who are currently in 5th, Lincoln City, who are currently in 6th, and Leafield Athletic, and Sheffield, who are currently the team they are trying to catch. So that's an important game for them. But as I said, they need a minimum of 13 points to be safe. They have 18 possible games available, so it has to be 3 wins it has to be 4 wins, because 3 wins and 3 draws is not enough. It will only get them 12, and that goal difference will keep them in the relegation zone. So Long Eaton United have to win 4 of their remaining 6 games to stay in the division. It could be, if my maths is correct, because that game has been gone, Sheffield have got games in hand. It could be that by the time Long Eaton United next go to play a game, it could already be, they could already be relegated. Sheffield are playing tonight. We'll get on to that. They're then playing at the weekend. Then they've got a double header with Leek Town, who are the other team the Long Eaton United are trying to catch, so it could well be already too late for Long Eaton United. Division 1 South East. Let's have a bit of a chat, shall we? Because we've got to Division 1 South East. Game at the top there. Hounslow against Cambridge City, match postponed. Now that doesn't really tell the full story. This game was postponed after the warm-up. Now, I'm going to give Hounslow the benefit of the doubt here in that they had the 10 players required to start the game and then somebody got a knock or something in warm-up. I am hoping, and I am very much hoping, that Hounslow did not let Cambridge City travel all the way down to them and warm up, knowing full well ahead of time they weren't going to play the game. I'm hoping that's not the case, and I suspect that because they played last night against Chesham that it's not the case. I'm hoping that they just barely had the players to play and then somebody got a knock in warm-up or something. I'm hoping that's the case. But that game has been postponed. We wait to see from a league point of view if that game is going to be awarded or anything like that. I mean, Hounslow have still got 9 games to play after this one now, or 8 if the league give Cambridge City the win. Now, of course, if Hounslow did get a player injured in warm-up and then weren't able to field a side, maybe the league will go for replay, or maybe they will decide that no, that's 3 points to Cambridge City. If it is 3 points to Cambridge City, that is probably the final nail in the coffin against Hounslow, because it was the games between those sides that was probably going to decide who's going down. Although Cambridge City, as you can see on the screen there last night, got a valuable point away at Cambridge United. So yes, that game was postponed. London Seaward 4, Chesham United 0. A brace for Madison Solo, 1 for Catherine Long and 1 for Zamina Malik, with the goals there for London Seaward. Then we move into midweek. AFC Wimbledon getting a 3-0 victory over Ashford Town. But of course, as with much of these midweek games, there aren't any information about those games yet. They've not been put on. You get 3 days to put the information on, which is one of the reasons I moved the show from Tuesday to Thursday, just so that the weekend fixtures were all on. Cambridge United against Cambridge City. Eva Hubbard with the goal for Cambridge City. No information about the Cambridge United one yet, but a valuable point for City. Hashtag United looked as though they could be being held by London Seaward for a long, long time, but eventually they came out with the 3-1 victory. Chesham United, a 7-0 away win at Hounslow. All those goals coming in the first half. And QPR 5, Actonians 3. 8-goal thriller there. But Queen's Park Rangers, the team coming out on top. What it means for the table? Nothing. No movement in Division 1 South East, but there are important things to look at. So obviously at the top there, Hashtag United maintained their gap. They won. AFC Wimbledon, they also won. London Seaward lost, so they are falling away a bit. 9 points behind Hashtag United now. And they've played the same number of games. Norwich City didn't play at all, but they are 14 points off. They're going to be 11 points off, even with that game in hand. I feel it is now between Hashtag and Wimbledon. Even with Wimbledon's game in hand, they're still 5 points back, though. So, it's an interesting one to call. But those two sides play each other this weekend, and that could, of course, change how the gap looks and make it much more manageable for Wimbledon. Everything else remains the same, apart from down towards the bottom. Cambridge City, that point against Cambridge United means they are now more than one game. They were anyway with the goal difference, but Hounslow have to pick up results now in 2 games rather than just one. I'll rephrase because that's not, I said that particularly well. Before Cambridge City got that point, a win and a draw would have been enough for Hounslow to overtake them, potentially, if Cambridge City did nothing else. But now, because of the goal difference, Hounslow have to win twice. Not just a win and a draw, they have to win twice. So, that's going to be particularly difficult for them. They've got to still face the likes of Wimbledon, Seaward, Norwich, all those teams up towards the top. So it's going to be very difficult for Hounslow. Can we see them getting 6 points? No, not really. I think Hounslow are down. Finally, Division 1 South West. AFC Bournemouth 2, Exeter City 1 at the weekend. Important top of the table clash there that Bournemouth came out on top of. Goals in this one: Pearl Mortimer in the 51st minute. Exeter then equalised. Emily Toogood in the 58th minute. But then with 1 minute from time, Molly Gladwell in the 89th minute put Bournemouth in front. They held on to the 2-1 victory. Portishead Town 1, Swindon Town 3. Megan Attenborough in the 48th minute, Annabelle Colston in the 58th minute, and Emerson Evans in the 61st minute with 3 goals for Swindon. Ellie Stripple then got a consolation goal for Portishead Town 15 minutes from time. 7-goal thriller at Chelsea. They beat Keynsham Town by 4 goals to 3. Natasha Wilde in the 5th and the 22nd minute. Nikki Lake in the 47th minute. Sky Bacon in the 93rd minute, getting the winner. Jade Munro in the 34th. Naomi Clipson in the 59th. Gemma McGuinness in the 81st minute. 3-3 there. Keynsham must have thought they were getting a point, but then the 3rd minute of added time, Sky Bacon gets one home for Chelsea. They take all 3 points. Southampton women's 2-0 winners over Larkhall Athletic. Shannon Aubrey in the 71st minute. Hope Sumanen in the 75th minute with the goals for Southampton women. And then we move to midweek. And what a victory for Exeter City over AFC St Austell. 12-0, including 6 for Sarah Stacey. 31st, 44th, 53rd, 80th, 82nd and 87th minute. Also goals for Chloe Gilroy, JD Seaman, Manfay Sharp, Molly Taylor, Emily Toogood again and Zoe Watkins. 12-0 Exeter City beating Moneyfields and a 0-0 draw. Exeter City beating AFC St Austell and a 0-0 draw between Moneyfields and AFC Bournemouth. What that means for the table, it's done wonders for Exeter City's goal difference because Cardiff were way out in front. Exeter were on 28. They are now on 40 and Cardiff City are on 51. Cardiff still in control. If they win their remaining 9 games, they will go up because of the games in hand. Bournemouth now potentially slipping away a bit because they have played 4 more games than Cardiff, but they're level on points. They're 4 points behind Exeter City. But Exeter have got 2 games in hand. So, if you take Cardiff winning their 4, Exeter winning their 2, for example, it goes Cardiff 45, Exeter 43, Bournemouth 33. Then the gap, realistically, is too big for Bournemouth. So I wonder if Bournemouth now, with that 0-0 draw, have just scuppered themselves a bit, just given themselves maybe a bit too much to do. Maybe it is between Exeter and Cardiff now. Down towards the bottom from the results elsewhere. Keynsham Town, of course, late goal to deny them. Portishead Town also lost. Larkhall Athletic lost as well. So it's all very much as you were because Austell lost. The points are all the same, but there's 1 game fewer. Austell now, they need 10 points from 7 games. And they have got some difficult games coming up. Some games they will look to target as well. Don't get us wrong there. The likes of, they've got to play Maidenhead, Keynsham, Portishead and Larkhall. There are 4 games there and they need 3 wins and a draw at least, really. So those are the games they're going to target. They've got Moneyfields twice towards the end of the season. That's going to be probably too difficult for them. Swindon, again, mid-table side, maybe. But you suspect that they've got to target those 4 teams that they're chasing and try and win all 4 of those games. Right, that does it for all of the results from the past 7 days. Let's now have a look at some of the news. And the news this week is coming out of Brighouse Town, who have ended their 10-year association with the men's side. They put a statement out on the 18th that said, "It is with great sadness we will no longer be a part of the Brighouse Town family due to both parties going in different directions. We will also no longer play our home games at the Yorkshire Payment Stadium, a place we have called home since 2013. They have already moved stadium, at least to the end of the season. We'd like to place on record our gratitude and thanks to Brighouse Town and everyone who has made us feel welcome during our stay. We wish everyone associated with Brighouse Town good luck in the future. A further announcement will be made regarding the long-term future of the club, but rest assured we have exciting news coming in the coming weeks or months. Now, Brighouse then announced they were being played their remaining fixtures at Eccleshill United FC. So that's where their home games are now for the rest of the season. Now, what we don't know, of course, is what's going to happen next season. We could speculate as much as we like. Are they going to join up with another men's team? Are they going completely independent? We don't know. One thing that jumped out at me is whether perhaps, and this is entirely speculation, do they look to join Halifax Town? Halifax are only 4 miles up the road from Brighouse. When I went on Halifax's website, they didn't have a women's team as far as I could see. And the men's team are 2 leagues higher than the Brighouse men's team. But that is entire speculation. But that was the news from this week. Now, before we get on to the fixtures coming up in the next 7 days, and there's plenty of those as well, we've got an interview coming up. We are going once again to Wales and to Jamie Phillip, because Cardiff, the last remaining FAWNL side in the FA Cup this season, have their 5th round game away at Lewes, Championship side Lewes, this weekend. As they got in touch with me earlier on in the week and said, do you want to have another chat? And of course, I said yes. So here is my conversation with Jamie ahead of the weekend. We look at the FA Cup this weekend, the busy fixture schedule that they've got, the new signing that they very kindly announced last night, so I had something extra to talk about, and and the run-in for the league. So here's my chat with Jamie. Enjoy. Jamie, thanks so much for joining us again ahead of what is an incredibly important weekend for Cardiff, arguably one of the biggest games for many years.
Yeah, it's a massive game for the club. It's a massive game for me. It's a massive game for the players. And but I think most importantly, we've got a huge week ahead of us, and it's a bit difficult trying to overshadow the FA Cup in 5th round when you've got 2 league games straight after. But it is what it is. It's the reality. It is football, and we're all excited in our camp. So yeah.
Is it a nice break from the league games, and probably as well going into it with kind of almost no expectation? Lewes are expected to win this game, whereas in the Southwestern Division, most of the time you're the team expected to win.
It's not a nice break, really. No, it's we've seen that it takes a bit of a toll in the league. I think, in the last game I wouldn't say we weren't physically prepared, but we felt it the week after, and obviously having exit the week after wasn't ideal for us. We weren't ready to be beaten up and kicked and shoved and pushed, but it is what it is. In terms of Lewes, I think they're beatable. I think they're beatable. I think there's not much difference between them and Burnley in terms of the quality on the ball. So we prepared it in a similar way. But again, there's the expectation is to try and win the game, really. It always is, no matter who we're playing. So that's what we prepare for.
I suppose beating higher tier opposition to get to this stage gives you confidence, as you said, that you can go on and do it again.
It's one of them, though, isn't it? Because I've said to the players, like, showcase yourself. Go and showcase yourself. The FA Cup, but knowing that none of our players are on contract, so at any time after this game, we could potentially lose like 3 or 4. So that's the worry. But no, they deserve it. The players have worked really hard. They've done everything we've asked of them and more, really. And they deserve to showcase themselves in this opportunity.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want with 9 league games to go, and you've still got Bournemouth to play next week as well. It's that's the last thing you want. And I suppose as well the long cup run, of course, helps the club, because as I can remember from my time there, it's difficult being kind of not in FA Wales and also not in England FA. So the financial side of things, and especially with it being increased this season as well, is helping the club.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure we've seen this much money before. I think the same for a lot of clubs, not just us. As I said, I think when I spoke to you last time, it is a huge amount this year. But we understand where we are in terms of if we want to be playing Lewis in the league game. we want to be playing these teams in league games, not in FA Cup games. And to do that, we've got to invest that sort of money into the club. And I think we've got a good understanding of that now. But yeah, the money's great, and but again, you can't rely on that source. But it definitely helps.
It also helps now they've taken the toll off the Severn Bridge. Now you don't have to pay that every time you go to play a league game.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be here if that was the case. But yeah.
Yeah, that I can remember that was incredibly expensive. But yeah, there are still 9 league games to go after this FA Cup game. And as I said, Bournemouth next week, who have played considerably more games than you have, so you've got that advantage. But at the same time, would rather have points on the board than the games in hand.
Yeah, I think we want to be playing teams like we enjoyed playing Bournemouth last time. To be honest, we were probably quite lucky to get through that game. We had a difficult week before, but we're excited for that game. Really, those are the games that we want to be playing in this league. But at the same time, it's just the week before. How are we going to be physically for that game? And that's what we focused on over the last 2 weeks. Really, just trying to manage physicality rather than too much tactical stuff. We know what we're doing on the ball and when we're in possession, out of possession. But it's just as a staff team trying to manage getting through that week, really.
Yeah, having say that Keynsham game on the Thursday night is probably a very bad time to have a midweek game right after the FA Cup game and then right before Bournemouth.
Yeah, well, it was originally before this weekend, so it was originally going to be today, but then because our goalkeeper's away and international duty, and I think they managed to change things, which didn't really help us. But to be fair, it's we were training on that night anyway, so it's going to be there's no difference to our schedule, to be honest. Really, they do the recovery on the Tuesday, and then we go to Keynsham on the Thursday, so there's not much too different. So we're looking at that at the beginning, thinking, oh God, 3 games in 7 days.
Yeah.
But then actually, it doesn't change our schedule too much, so we should be okay. We should be fine.
And that may help in some ways in that if you look at Bournemouth, we've only got 5 games to go, but 2.5 months to play 5 games in, whereas you've got 9. The matches flow a bit better for you rather than having a longer break.
And that's it, isn't it? I think we saw the same with it might have been Southampton or something last season. I think they went through a similar thing. It's difficult. It is difficult because you got to try and fill up with friendlies, or what do you do? Do you have a break? And it is difficult, but at the same time, you're a little bit more fresh towards the end of the season. But the position that we're in, we just need to win every game, and we know that we're crowned champions. But yeah, we've got to go and win every game first.
And you're strengthening the squad as well. Very kindly last night before we chatted, announced new signing but returning as well ahead of this weekend.
Yeah, Caitlin Morgan, we know her well. Obviously, she left us to go to Plymouth to try and stay in Tier 3. Things didn't really work out there for her, so yeah, delighted to have her back. She won't be playing in the FA Cup this weekend. She's cup tied, so that's a bit of information that we missed out there. But yeah, a great asset to have. And she'll be in for the week after. So yeah, it's a bit of depth
there. Yeah, bit of depth, as you're saying, particularly with Laura away on international duty. When you get your number 1 goalkeeper back as well, the squad will be back up to full strength.
Yeah, definitely. She's back today actually. She's had a great camp. They've obviously had 3 goalkeepers, so they've had a game each. So she's only played one 90 minutes. So and been training every day. So she should be fresh. She should be the best shape she is in. So we're really excited to see her tonight, and then take her to Lewes on Sunday. Yeah.
Well, Jamie, best of luck for Sunday. The whole of the FAWNL will be rooting for you, and hopefully you can emulate what you did in the last round by beating higher tier opposition, and emulate what Ipswich did last season and get through into the next round.
That's the plan. But yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Chris.
Huge thank you to Jamie for taking time out in what is a very busy week to talk to me ahead of their FA Cup game. The whole of the FAWNL are behind you and Cardiff City. Now let's have a look at the fixtures coming up then in the next 7 days. We'll start in the Northern Premier Division. Brighouse Town continue their resurgence. They take on AFC Fylde. Brighouse, again, don't forget, beat Liverpool Feds. Then they won in the County Cup before that. Beat Boldmere, beat Huddersfield, beat Stoke, beat Boldmere again, beat Bradford City. They are now on a 7-game winning streak, are Brighouse Town. So that's not going to be an easy game for AFC Fylde. Brighouse, unfortunately for them, they only have 6 games to go. So they have another 18 points available. That puts them on 41. So Forest, you feel, are going to get 7 points between now and the end of the season. So if Brighouse had managed this resurgence at the start of the season, then it would be a completely different setup. But, if you just have to look, as I said, they've won the last 5 league games and got a point from the league game before that. They haven't lost in the league since November. So they have got 16 points from their last 6 games in the league. So after 10 games, they had just 7, and they were kind of in a relegation battle, and now they're 13 points clear of relegation, and comfortably they're going to be in the Northern Premier Division next season. Loughborough Lightning against Wolverhampton Wanderers. You can't really see past Wolves on that one. Forest against Huddersfield Town. That's going to be an interesting one. Forest got the job done away in Huddersfield. This one is in Nottingham. I would suspect that Forest are probably going to get the job done again. And West Bromwich Albion against Liverpool Feds. That's an important one down towards the bottom. West Brom in 9th on 13 points. Liverpool Feds in 10th on 12 points. And that relegation line at the minute is on 10. So interesting to look at that game. It's one of West Brom's games in hand over the teams in the bottom. Well, over Bournemouth, St Michael's anyway at the bottom, because Loughborough Lightning kind of condemning to Tier 4 next season unless they have some miraculous turnaround. So that's going to be an interesting one for West Brom. If they can get the victory there, give themselves a 6-point margin and a game in hand, starting to look a bit more comfortable for them. Southern Premier Division, 2 games taking place tonight. Cheltenham against Milton Keynes Dons and Plymouth Argyle against Bridgewater United. So Cheltenham against Milton Keynes Dons, bit of a mid-table game, but Milton Keynes Dons only 4 points above the relegation zone. Bridgewater United in 9th against Plymouth in 11th. They're the team in the relegation zone. Plymouth have 2 games in hand on Bridgewater United. If they could get a victory, it's a 1-point gap, 2 games in hand. Plymouth maybe will just get their tails up a little bit, see if they can keep themselves safe. Ipswich Town against Watford, that's 4th against 3rd. Great for the teams at the top like Portsmouth and Oxford United, because both of those sides can't win. We're into Sunday games now, by the way. London Bees against Billericay Town, that's 10th against 5th. Gillingham take on MK Dons at the moment, that's 7th against 8th. Plymouth Argyle against Cheltenham Town, that's 11th against 6th. And then next Wednesday, Ipswich Town take on Billericay Town. That's 4th against 5th. So really important week for Ipswich Town. If they come out of that with 6 points, great for them. They're on to 15 games played, 32 points. They're going to be right in the mix again. If Watford beat them, Billericay beat them, then they're on 15 games played and 26 points. And you're looking at, that gap starts to grow then. It's 8 points as it is at the moment, so it would be at least 8 points again. In fact, Oxford and Portsmouth both aren't playing, so it would still be 8 points, but of course 2 games less for Ipswich. Starts to just get a little bit more difficult for them with 7 games to go to make up an 8-point gap. Division 1 North, just 4 games to talk about next week. Division 1 North is the league that, on the most part anyway, has kind of not suffered from the weather. Leeds have still got 11 games to play, but they've been going far in the cup competitions. So the games are starting to slow down a bit for Division 1 North, because teams have only got 7-8 games to play and 2 and a bit months to play them in. Plus we've got another round of midweek fixtures coming up. So it's kind of slowing down a bit, because what we don't want is for Division 1 North to be done by the middle of April, and it just waits them. So Bradford City against Norton Stockton Ancients. That's 11th against 10th. Huge game down towards the bottom. 5 points the gap at the moment. If Bradford could get the victory there, it's a 2-point gap. Norton Stockton Ancients, yes, have a game in hand, but it is going to help Bradford no end. Durham Sestra against Chorley. You kind of feel Durham Sestra top of the league at the minute. Chorley down in 9th. You kind of feel Durham will take that one. Stockport County Barnsley. 4th against 3rd. Again, they both can't win. Barnsley need to win to give themselves any hope of mounting a charge on Durham Sestra. They do have a game in hand still to play. If Stockport County get the victory, that's probably it for both of them, because Stockport County will only have 6 to play and they will be at minimum 7 points behind with 6 to play. Of course, it's doable. Absolutely, it's doable. And they do have to play Durham Sestra as well. The other teams they've then got to play are down more towards the bottom, the likes of Merseyrail, Norton. So absolutely it is possible, but it's just a mountain for them to climb. You're relying on Durham Sestra to drop quite a few points. And then at the weekend, York City against Hull City. That's 8th against 5th. Move through then to Division 1, the Division 1 Midlands. There's loads to talk about in Division 1 Midlands. 3 games tonight. Lincoln City against Peterborough United, 6th against 8th. Northampton Town against Leafield Athletic, 7th against 5th. Sheffield against Doncaster Rovers Bells, 10th against 3rd. Then we move into the weekend. Doncaster Rovers Bells against Lincoln City, 3rd against 6th. Leafield Athletic against Sporting Cowser, 5th against 2nd. Interesting one there when you're looking at the top. Can Sporting Cowser get the victory? Peterborough United against Leek Town, 8th against 9th. Both sides looking to just make that gap a little bit bigger to the bottom two. Wem Town against Northampton Town, that's 11th against 7th. Solihull Moors against Sheffield. So, plenty of interesting games. I mean, as I said, you look at Long Eaton United, and I mentioned this when we looked at the fixtures. They need, to win these games. They're not playing this weekend, but say, Wem Town managed to get a draw against Northampton. Sorry, not the best example, but Sheffield against Solihull Moors. Well, Sheffield have got 2 games. They've got Doncaster and they've got Solihull Moors, 3rd and 4th. Difficult games, but we saw Wem Town get a draw with Solihull Moors. So if Sheffield can, it just increases even more. Leek Town, Peterborough United against Leek Town. Easily could be a draw, easily could be a win for Leek Town. It could well be. Long Eaton United can't actually be relegated this weekend. They have 18 points left. It's a possible 21, therefore, for them. So they can't be relegated this weekend, but you feel it's only a matter of time. Division 1 South East, 4 games to talk about. Ashford Town against Chesham United. That is 6th against 9th. London Seaward take on Hounslow, 3rd against 11th. Norwich City against Cambridge United, 4th against 8th. And Hashtag United against AFC Wimbledon. That's the big game. The top 2 coming up against each other. Wimbledon need to win this game. If Hashtag United win this game and they go 11 points clear of anybody else, well, no, it would be 9 points clear because we're going to say that London Seaward are going to beat Hounslow. They go 9 points clear. I can't see anybody catching them. I think this is going to be the crucial game because AFC Wimbledon, if they can reduce that gap to 5 and they've got a game in hand, it could go to 2. That then, you just make Hashtag look over the shoulder a little bit. Yes, Hashtag United have got a massive goal difference advantage. But 2 points, all it takes is Hashtag to slip up once. And, an AFC Wimbledon with a win could overturn that. You look at the games that Hashtag have got left to play. Norwich City, they beat 7-1 away from home. QPR, Chesham, Cambridge, Ashford, Actonians and QPR. So QPR twice, Chesham, Cambridge United, Ashford, Actonians. Hashtag, they've played London Seaward twice. I still think it's going to be Hashtags, but Wimbledon will look to try and make it as interesting as possible. Division 1 South West, a couple of games to talk about. Well, a couple of games to talk about here tonight. Maidenhead United against Swindon Town. 8th against 6th. Portishead Town against Larkhall Athletic. That's a big one. 10th against 11th. If Larkhall win, they get out the relegation zone. But Portishead have 2 games in hand, as to Keynsham, as to Maidenhead, who are the other teams that are in and around that mix. I think everybody's Chelsea North, Chelsea on 18, Larkhall Athletic on 6. So Chelsea North are safe. It's just 5 teams there. AFC St Austell, as I said, 7 games to go. 4 of their games they've got to go are against the current 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th. They have to target those games. They need probably at least 3 wins from those 4. So that's going to be an interesting one to look at. That game tonight is going to be crucial. Keynsham Town against Exeter City, 9th against 1st. Kind of got to look at Exeter on that one. Larkhall Athletic against Swindon Town then at the weekend. So really important week for Larkhall Athletic. Swindon Town in 6th. It's not insurmountable, of course, particularly at home. Maidenhead United against Moneyfields, 8th against 4th. Chelsea take on Portishead Town. That's 7th against 10th. Again, opportunity there for Portishead, even if it's just a point. Just make it more than one game for Larkhall to have to catch. But of course, that game tonight between those two sides could completely overturn that. And then next week on Wednesday, Southampton Women's take on Chelsea. That is the current 5th against 7th. Now, those are all the league fixtures. Don't forget, FA Cup 5th round weekend. Manchester United against Durham. Charlton Athletic against Birmingham City. There's the one we're all interested in. Lewes against Cardiff City. Cardiff, the last FAWNL side in the competition. All Super League tie. Spurs and Reading, Chelsea and Arsenal, all Super League tie. Bradford against Brighton and Hove Albion against Coventry United, Super League against Championship. Bristol City host Manchester City, and West Ham United take on Aston Villa. And then finally, FAWNL Plate semi-final, 1 week later than planned because of the County Cup. Leeds United of Division 1 North take on Southampton Women of South West. Southampton Women's are 5th in Division 1 South West. Leeds United are 6th in Division 1 North. Leeds United have played 11. They have 19 points. Southampton Women's have played 12. They have 24 points. So Southampton Women doing ever so slightly better in their league than Leeds United, but they have got to go all the way up to Leeds United, and it's a cup semi-final. It's a plate semi-final. That could go either way at all. There's only one place between them in the pyramid. Also, one place between Stourbridge and Crawley Wasps. Crawley Wasps, of course, currently bottom of the Southern Premier Division. Stourbridge top of Division 1 Midlands, and Stourbridge at home. So what's great here, we've got 3 Tier 4 sides and a Tier 3 side in the plate semi-final. If I had to come down on one side of the fence or the other, I would go Leeds and Stourbridge. Stourbridge, I think, will get the job done over Crawley Wasps. Leeds and Southampton Women's could go either way. It could even go to a penalty shootout. But I think the two northern sides are going to progress into the plate final. The cup final, by the way, is next weekend. So we'll cover that. The cup semi-finals are next weekend. We'll cover that on next week's show. That's Forest against Portsmouth and Wolves against Watford. So we'll see what happens with those as well. But yeah, plate semi-final, Cardiff in the FA Cup, and a bunch of league games as well. That'll do it for this week's Women's Football Chat. Thank you very much for joining me, listening and or watching. Jamie Phillip, Corey Williams, the captain, the rest of Cardiff City, the whole of the FAWNL is with you on Sunday afternoon. Thank you very much for watching and or listening. Of course, keep supporting your local women's football team, and goodbye.